Okay, Matt, RealPage, as annual rent growth slips below 1%, how much further could rents cool?
So I thought that this was a really
classic stock image.
Yeah. The invisible touch
real
screen.
estate.
Yeah. That is actually like a big brand of stock
One
image.
day. Anyway, Jay Parsons, very popular guy in the multifamily industry from his great analysis that he just keeps pumping out on LinkedIn, but obviously he is with RealPage and does some good research himself.
We probably last week we commented on a LinkedIn post from Jay Parsons that was probably a draft of this. It covered a lot.
I've noticed he does that sometimes, which is great.
Yeah,
it helps flesh out the ideas, gets the conversation going.
Yeah. So
and he is great interacting on LinkedIn. It's a great example of somebody that really knows how to work LinkedIn. I mean, you make a comment like on his post, he is going to respond to it at some point, especially if it's thoughtful.
Yeah, he's got a big following too. I wonder if that's part of his job, right? Hopefully he gets paid. He does it for fun.
No, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes. I think that he has fun. I think he enjoys it, but it is also his job.
Yeah.
Just like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We're having fun. Yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah.
But it is also a job. It is focused.
Yeah. No. I just
at least my daughter thinks thinks that YouTube is like the job. Yeah. I'm like, it is like something that Matt and I do once a week. Yes, is one of many things that goes on. But
it's a sweet gig.
She thinks that I go on YouTube and I'm a head soccer coach.
Maybe in Germany.
I take my 6-week holiday. Yeah.
But back to the RealPage. They've got year-over-year rent growth at 0.78 for July. So positive, but barely positive. Really covers the same regional differences we've mentioned a bunch of times here. Midwest and Northeast doing better. Sunbelt cooling. West cooling a little bit more. What I think that was really notable, and you can see if you scroll down a little bit how much the rent growth is going down, and it's what I am wondering is,
but it's also this is all year over year, so we've got a base effect situation going on. Is that it's looking back a year to this crazy spikes.
Now this is what I think it'll be well worth comparing the rent growth of later this year as seasonal effects start to cut down on rent growth period.
Right now, it's the last surge. Right, we're witnessing the last surge before things really cool off.
Yeah, so we might get to a point where there is negative monthly rent growth later this year. Probably will,
which will lead to a miss on a lot of the yearly rent growth projections. That when we covered those, Matt, and I know you'll remember, January-ish. It was everyone was calling for 3%.
Yeah,
because they weren't really sure what was going to happen this year. So it was like 3% is the long-term average. Let's just pin it at that, and it looks like we're on track to miss that.
Yeah,
I mean, we could get a little bit more, but so
it's going to be a market by market thing, because I think that supply has been such a big factor for rent growth this year, unlike previous years where demand just powered through all new supply. But I'm going to be watching closely how if we do have negative, is it way more negative than it was in 2019 and 2018? So comparing this season's monthly rent growth to the pre-pandemic monthly rent growth of like the fall and winter, that's going to be really crucial to determining whether we are kind of correcting back from the cool down.
It is amazing, man. You've brought this up a handful of times of if this is the correction, it's kind of a weak correction, and it's like kind of a strong correction.
Well, if you want
to compared to the the massive surge, and again,
if you want to pull up the rent report, and you can see the curve on year over year rent growth. It usually the curve is the highest when you're dropping down.
Yeah,
but our curve's kind of reversed. Like our cool off is gradual. The spike up was really dramatic. So
again, the question is, have we had the spike down, or does it? I mean, you would think that there's going to be a big spike down.
Yeah, but
there's nothing in like the data other than just like a lot of averages and probabilities that it should do that.
Yeah, exactly. And
is what the data is showing.
Gradualness of it was probably helped by summer rent growth patterns, kind of bringing up a rent growth period. It does seem very overdetermined that it's going to dip a little bit into the negative year over year. I would compare to pre-pandemic. That's the That's the upshot.
So
really.
1.74 is our report. Year over year at RealPage is 0.78. So they've got a little bit less.
Well, this is a year ahead of the data from our report, but yeah.
Got it.
And good news though, they kind of bury it a little with the headline as a little bit negative. How much worse can it get? But they're saying that the pace of the rent growth cooldown should level off, just like we kind of said that. And they also noted that occupancy is evening out in a way that compares much more favorably to the lengthy fall off in occupancy recorded throughout the year last year. So there was a big, there was a lot of occupancy that we missed, and that was a long, even as rent growth was still quite high, demand was falling off a lot. But we're getting better, and like I said before, I wonder how much this is going to be how much this leads rent growth.
Yeah.
And what we have for the future in kind of with that. And I think
occupancies are looking much more normal like they were pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
But but we were so tight last couple of years, and so this again just is really kind of normalization. There's also a ton of supply coming online nationally, which is going to drive occupancies down. And again, but just relative to that supply pressure correcting off a major wave of rent increases, the performance is kind of tepid relative to what we could see. It's pretty strong as long as nothing else happens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. We're hoping that the aliens, when they come, they've got good news, and they haven't heard us yet. So that's good.
No, they're watching the report, Matt.
That's good.
Leave a comment below. Yeah, exactly.